Welcome to the Chaos Whispers of Healthcare, the podcast for busy healthcare leaders who are ready to get out of survival mode so they can focus on what matters most. This is where the burnout stops and the real talk starts. I'm your host, Dr. Megan Carter, and each week I sit down with healthcare innovators who get it. We will unpack the chaos, laugh through the hard stuff, and get you at least 2 practical tips you can use at work right away. If you're ready to clear the chaos and lead with impact, you've come to the right place. Let's jump in. Welcome back to the Chaos Whispers of Healthcare, the podcast for busy healthcare leaders who are done with overwhelming workloads and burnout. This podcast is built around the big idea that you are not meant to prove your worth through exhaustion. We help you get out of survival mode by discussing your real-world pain points and giving you at least 2 practical tips you can put in place right away. Today's guest is the amazing Charlene Johnson. She is the founder of the Wellness Whisperer Coach and Consulting, and she's a passionate advocate for the well-being of all healthcare professionals. With a distinguished career spanning over 30 years in nursing and leadership, Charlene has specialized in transformative leadership, caring science integration, HeartMath training, and facilitating listening sessions on race. She now supports other healthcare leaders through her one-to-one coaching services, as well as her podcast and her book of the same title, When the Moment Chooses You. I had the opportunity to meet Charlene through LinkedIn, and from the moment I heard her story and her vision for healing healthcare, I knew we were kindred spirits. While we usually talk about strategies for managing external chaos, today's episode will focus on navigating chaos that is internal to us as leaders and human beings. She has so much incredible insight and wisdom to share with us today. Welcome to the show, Charlene.
Hello, my sister. This is my new sister. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I like to start each episode by asking our guests to share what has been your most chaotic moment in healthcare leadership.
Oh my gosh, my most chaotic moment, I would really have to say, is me being promoted to assistant nurse manager. That was the most chaotic moment ever because here you are moving from this frontline staff, and I did it within my organization, so I got promoted in that way. And so that was a very chaotic time because honestly, Megan, I think that's like one of the hardest jobs in the world.
Agreed.
Yeah, and so absolutely chaotic. That would be it, I would say.
What was it specifically that struck you as the most shocking when you made that transition?
Absolutely. Let me tell you about it. So first of all, you're working in a system that is sometimes dark and there are so many tasks that you have to do and you don't really have enough time to get it done. The other thing is you're sandwiched in between senior leadership with unrealistic expectations and your patients and staff where you're trying to advocate and to take care of them at the same time. So that's what made it really, really chaotic. And I was in labor and delivery. And so it's constant chaos because you can have 10 patients walk in at the same time. You're like toast at that point, right? And so just that whole trajectory of how busy labor and delivery is when you're short staffed, you're the one that jump in and you do everything. You're doing recovery, you're doing everything and leading the unit at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you feel the impact of suddenly being on call 24/7 as well?
Absolutely. I mean, like I don't know if that was you that I told that, like once I got off a night shift and left that particular role, I was like in shock because the 24/7 call is too much. And actually, I got promoted to be a manager. So as an A&M, you can kind of shut off a little bit. Yeah. You know, we were able to shut off. But as a manager, you can't shut off. You're working. I mean, I literally worked 24/7. And once I early retired, my son was like, "Oh my God, Mom, you're not answering your phone." And he was so happy about that. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's sad."
Yeah. Yeah. When that becomes
it's
its
a
own
constant
metric.
tug. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So constant pull, constant tug. You're
Yeah.
available for everybody, but nobody's there for you.
Yeah, so real, so real. Thank you for sharing that. What inspired you to pivot from that traditional leadership path to being an entrepreneur and an innovator now?
Yeah, I would say I actually hit a dip, Megan, literally. And when I say a dip, I mean, those hard places or those messy in the middle places. I was burnt out. I was emotionally exhausted. We had just come through the pandemic. I was just looking at the gaps that we were having because we were so focused on care experience and making sure that you take care of the patient, which is a given, that we forgot to take care of the caregiver. So I tapped into a gap that we had with the quadruple aim, the care team well-being. And then I had got reinvigorated with caring science and HeartMath. And so I began to start doing some of those practices, which literally was a game changer. And so the one thing that literally showed me that, okay, Charlene, you could be doing this on a larger scale is we created this 4-part series and it was called the Caring Science Academy. And we did it for frontline staff because that's who we weren't getting to, the frontline staff, because everybody was like angry and burnt out and, oh my gosh, we're always short staffed, yada, yada, yada. And then when we created this curriculum, it was specifically designed for the caregiver. And that was a game changer. That game changer was so powerful, Megan, that we saw, if I can explain it like this, I love imagery. So if you could see a wilted flower, that's the classes poured water on very dry ground for the staff. The first class, they were angry. They were upset. They felt like the system failed them. I mean, they were just really just in that trauma. And so as we began to take them through these different practices and showing them what caring science was, that you got to take care of yourself first, giving them some HeartMath tools. And, we had a lot of courageous cultural conversations. That was a game changer. And I'm not going to keep going on about it, but we saw staff move from this anger, this frustration, to innovators, to passion. I mean, that was within 4 months because we had one class every month and then we had this huge graduation. And so some of the comments that we got back from that was, I was actually ready to take my life. I mean, there was one participant nurse that was ready to take her life because she was just done. And so I saw the transformation in that. And that just like did something to me on the inside. I was like, I got to do more of this. And so that was the inspiration behind, you know what, let me go out, because my spiritual midwife, he said, Charlene, you're hanging around the swimming pool when I believe that God has called you to the ocean and he wants the ocean to pour back into the pool. And so that's what I was ignited instantly. And I start creating curricula and helping people to navigate through this very challenging time. And it was just life-changing. And so I said, I got to do this like forever. So that's where I am right now, doing the same thing, just trying to help our healthcare workers to reinvigorate their why, to not exchange their why for what they do. Megan, because it's really challenging, and you can get stuck in that vicious cycle. And my goal is to help people not be stuck, but to really be activated and to be able to move beyond the overwhelm into their creativity and their innovative thinking at that point.
Thank you for sharing that, Charlene. You have such a beautiful perspective on healthcare leadership. And I believe it's due to your ability to reflect and pull the deepest wisdom, even from the hardest experiences. And we know being a leader in the U.S. healthcare system is exceptionally challenging, even for the most experienced person. But let's take a moment to speak directly to the listeners who are new to leadership. It can be an overwhelming transition to go from being that clinical expert to being responsible for other clinicians' performance and outcomes. The emotional exhaustion potential is high during that first year or two. So what are some strategies you might recommend to help them navigate that time?
Yeah, I think I would probably recommend too. I already kind of spoke to HeartMath, and I'll get back to that in just a moment. But one of the things that I had to do as a new leader stepping up into an A&M role within my organization, the chaos hit immediately, right? So I had to do what HeartMath teaches. And one of the definitions of resilience is the capacity to prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of challenge or adversity. And so I had to start preparing myself before I got to work, because I noticed that, oh my God, this thing is like trying to overwhelm. I mean, first, when you get promoted within your own group, people are like, oh my gosh, now she's trying to be the boss. Just kind of all of these things are just coming out. And then you're like, there's so much going on within that I knew that I did not want to taint my brand of love and my brand of peace. So I had to do something different. And that's where I intentionally, deliberate, and on purpose began to do declarations. And this declaration said, before I didn't even get out of bed yet. I said, I walk in undisturbed composure. And I
Mm,
locked that into my heart with a breathing technique, which I'll show you in
mm.
a little bit. And I did that every day. So for me, when I stepped into the threshold, I pictured myself having this shield of undisturbed composure. I knew darts were going to come. I knew challenges were going to come. I knew it was going to be a lot going on. And so I had to prepare myself so that I can handle whatever was coming my way. The darts still came, the challenges still came, but I had already put my armor on so that I can handle the things that I was going to have to deal with. So I would encourage people to do some type of practice. Declaration might happen to be, that's what I wanted to show up as, undisturbed composure. I wanted to carry peace. And
Yeah.
so that's why I was like, I walk in undisturbed composure. Did it happen on the first 10 days that I said it? No. But I tell you, it became such a force field that people felt when I came into the room.
I love that you share that because I've been having some interesting conversations lately with some of my clients. And when we talk about the intentional mindfulness practices or the intentional nervous system resetting practices,
Yes,
a lot of these best practice teachers, they all say the same thing, that consistency is the
yes.
key. Like it's
Yeah,
not a today's
absolutely.
crisis, let me try it one time. We have to retrain our brains and our nervous system. And that's like a muscle to even just 5 minutes at the start of the day, end of
Absolutely.
the day. And if someone's new to that and feels like they don't have time, making time for that really does set the tone. It's made a huge difference for me as well. I love that you shared that. I believe it would also be helpful for all of our healthcare leader listeners to hear more about the mindfulness practice of breath work. So could you maybe walk us through a breathwork exercise so we can try it for ourselves?
Yeah, I actually can. I'll do quick coherence, and it is with HeartMath. I'm a HeartMath certified trainer, and I absolutely love it because it does reset your system. And it was one of my superpowers as I was walking through the chaos. And so I want you to get comfortable in your seat. And then some people put their hand over their heart as they're practicing. You don't have to because you're in the setting, but when I'm home, I do it like that. And you can close your eyes if you want, if you feel comfortable, or you don't have to. But I want you to focus on the area of your heart, breathing in a little deeper and a little slower, about 4 to 5 seconds in, or whatever's comfortable. And as you continue to breathe in through your heart and chest area, I want you to think about something that brings you joy or that gives you that heart feeling, something that elicits feelings of love, appreciation. And I want you to breathe that in through your heart and chest area. Re-experience that, whatever that is for you. For some, it's a pet. For some, it's a partner. For some, it's whatever that love feeling. And I want you to just breathe that in through your heart and chest area. Knowing that any moment in your day, you can come back to this still point, this quiet place. And making that as quick as it has to be. It can be when you're washing your hands. It can be before you have a difficult conversation. I did it before I had to give feedback. I did it before I had to have courageous conversations. I did it before I got breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like you can't not do it enough because to me, it feels like you're giving yourself a hug, when you need it most. And it just helps you to rebalance. And so I move from chaos to coherence within 30
Mm.
seconds. And so it's really powerful technique. So that's one of my game changers. I would encourage anyone
That
to
was
do.
so beautiful. I put my hand over my heart, and listeners, I hope you were able to try it as well. And I thought about my son
Mm.
because he's 15. And so, he's at that stage in his development where he's more independent, spends time with friends. But we've had a couple of car rides recently while he's learning how to drive where we've had some really good, like parent son conversations. And so I just
Oh,
focused on that feeling from this week. And oh my gosh, like it just
yes.
lit me up inside. So thank you for the gift of that.
Oh, you are
Uh,
so welcome.
yeah, it always amazed me how impactful just those few moments of intentional mindfulness can be, especially on a chaotic day. And
Yes.
you recently shared with me that you're trained in HeartMath and you use it in your coaching practice currently. So, what is HeartMath and how can it maybe help support our listeners?
Yeah, you actually can find out like tons of information about it online, heartmath.org. But HeartMath really, and I'm giving it to you in Charlene's language.
Yeah.
Charlene's language for HeartMath is a gift of authentic presence. That is what it is. It helps you to be more authentically present. It helps you really to rebalance your nervous system so that you can walk through the chaos. And they have tons of techniques that helps you. One of my favorite is called Inner Ease on the Go. because the chaos is going to be there. I can't get rid of all of the 5 patients coming in at the same time, but I can change me on the inside. And so math helps you to recenter yourself, to bring yourself into alignment where you're not spiraling. Because imagine, as a leader, you have to be able to make really clear decisions, and you can't do that in chaos. And so HeartMath helps you to balance yourself, to make those decisions that really count when you need them.
That's great. Do you have a favorite? You've mentioned a couple of practices from HeartMath. Is it something that anyone can just go online, go to the website, and
Absolutely.
it's free? They can just, take some of those exercises? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to heartmath.org. They have tons of free content. They have research-backed studies that you can see because it's science-backed, and many people use it in schools, their police department, healthcare professionals. I mean, it's a game changer, you guys. When I learned about HeartMath, it really helped me to see that, you know what, no matter what's going on around me, I can bring myself into coherence, and I can represent the brand of peace that I talked about because I'm using these techniques and these tools.
Yeah. I love that the way you're framing it too as a leader, because it is perfectly understandable that as a healthcare leader that we're running on empty. And I feel like most, especially if they have a clinical background, most healthcare leaders are kind of used to that when they were taking care of patients, because we had a code blue, a loss in one room, and we literally have 30 seconds to walk out of the room, compartmentalize, walk into the next room as if nothing's happened.
Yes.
And while that's such a gift of a skill to build, and on one side of the coin, the other side is that it teaches us not to really unpack that box and really go back and deal with it. It's inconvenient, if you will. I was telling the group that I was with this week in Cincinnati that the first time I tried EFT tapping, so that's another mindfulness technique. The first time I tried it, I actually started weeping, and I had to stop because I literally thought to myself, I don't have time to process all of these emotions right now. And I had to pause and laugh at myself. And I thought, where is that coming from? Like, what is going on with me internally? And I immediately thought about being a clinician and how we for years have to learn how to compartmentalize. So I love that you're giving us some simple techniques that we can use in the moment to really allow ourselves to reset before we even show up to work as a leader.
Well, and Megan, can I just say this? I mean, we want to touch those lives that we've been ordained to touch. So for me, I just went to a room that I just had a fetal death. So, I'm emotional. There's a lot going on, but that patient in the next room deserves better. Our staff deserve better. They don't deserve for a leader to come in angry and hostile, and really because they haven't done the work on the inside. And so it filters out to other people. I mean, I unfortunately have had leaders that were not taking care of their insides. And so they were not necessarily great leaders. And for me, I wanted to be a leader that empowered and not pressed down or made people shrink to fit, And so I think it's so important for us to say, you know what, I love me enough that I'm going to do the tools and the things to take care of me so that I can be the best or the highest expression of myself and touch those lives in the way that I'm supposed to touch them, to bring good out of them,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And to have realistic expectations too, and grace for ourselves, that I'm not going to come in rainbow and sunshines every day. Like, that's not reality. But I can come in centered, composed, and attempting to be the highest version of myself for my team. They deserve that, but I deserve that too as a fellow human being.
Absolutely.
I'm not just a job title. I'm not a robot. I deserve that. So what I hear you saying is it's wise and it's effective and it's evidence-based even to treat these simple practices and resetting our nervous system, and to prioritize it the same as we do sleep and hydration and the other things, the bare minimum things we do to keep ourselves running.
Yes. And then if you want to be like, my brand is love, my brand is peace, that's what I want people to know. When I early retired, I still get texts that say, Charlene, we really miss from you telling us that you love and appreciate us, because that was my love round that I did. So I love, as a leader, to be remembered for the love that I touched. That I made people feel, or the peace that people felt when they came in my presence, or the healing environment that I created when I was there. And so that to me is so rewarding versus being that type of person that is so hard that people can't even get through your shell as a leader.
Yeah,
So I wanted to demonstrate that because I didn't see it demonstrated for me. And so I
absolutely.
wanted to demonstrate it. So yeah, absolutely, Megan.
And when we're internal, I was going to add too, when we're internally regulated, it's not that we need to go to work and spend extensive amounts of time having conversations. If we're
Right.
internally regulated, even a slow walk from one end of the building to the next, the people you're passing in the hallway, when you're
Yes.
internally regulated, you can make that direct eye contact. You can give an authentic smile. You can call
Yes.
that person by name and say, "How are you really doing today?" And
Yes.
because you're not
Yes.
running, you know what I mean? You're slowing down the pace of your step. I know some of us fear that we're going to get caught into a lengthy conversation, but at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we're there for human connection. So what if you're a couple minutes late? And that
Yeah.
person, to your point, they'll remember you years down the road, even when you're no longer there. They'll remember that simple act. But you were able to give them that because you internally regulated yourself. So it's simple, but
Absolutely.
so powerful.
Yeah, and I love that what you said in the beginning of the program. It's about the internal
Yeah.
chaos. It's those
Yeah.
intrapersonal blocks that really prevent us from being our true, authentic self. So I really love how you frame
Yeah,
that. So thank you so much for
absolutely.
that.
No, same, same. So this has already been incredible. Are there any other chaos whispering tips or strategies that you want to share with us today?
Okay, I think an important one, which is kind of simple, but know thyself. I
Oh,
would say know thyself because I think sometimes healthcare workers in particular, we get so consumed in our titles and in our roles and stuff
mm,
like that, and you don't really even know who you are. I mean, I'm talking to someone today, they've been in the profession for 30 years, they finally got out and they're lost. They don't know who they are without that.
yeah,
Before you said yes to a nurse or a physician, you were somebody else. And so I think a lot of people don't know who they are. So I would encourage people to go on a journey of self-discovery because when I understood who I was, then I could bring what I do and make them connect, and my presence is more powerful when I
ugh,
know who I am. You know what I mean? I'm not just wandering around. I have been born to touch people's lives, which whatever it is of the gifting that I have on the inside of me. So if I happen to be a nurse, then I'm going to be a nurse that knows how to connect with humanity, that knows how to love, that knows how to bring healing, that knows how to sit with another person in their suffering. And so you see what I'm saying? I'm not just a nurse. I'm
yeah,
a powerful force to be reckoned with, and I
yeah,
can speak life into people's lives. And so I think we need to recognize the power that we possess and that we can begin to declare things and then they begin to start happening. And so we can't like just shrink back. No, I'm dangerous. I'm
yeah,
amazing, and there's nothing wrong with you saying that,
yeah.
right?
That's
But
so
as a nurse,
beautiful.
we're so timid and we don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
No, no, we have a lot to say. We're brilliant and we're innovative and, people need to hear what we have to say. And so I would encourage anyone to go on that journey of self-discovery, find your voice and release it to those that you've been called to impact.
Taking us to church on a Friday. Oh my gosh,
Hey,
Charlene, so good. It gave me goosebumps when you said that because I immediately thought, when I made my pivot away from traditional leadership, I initiated it on my terms, but I didn't get to leave on my terms. And I went through the next 6 months. I went through this internal reckoning of I did the same
yeah,
thing. Who am I without that job title? Who am I without
yeah,
that work? And it was a painful process. I mean, I
yes,
really had to get pretty darn honest. And reflecting back on it 2 years later, I had been spending most of my career chasing job title, ego, and pride. I mean, I chased purpose
that's
too,
so powerful.
but clearly I was more focused on ego and pride without even realizing it, honestly.
Yes,
And I wondered why, because I was so out of alignment with who I am on the inside and I hadn't given it time to come out and to shine, I was in conflict internally for 12 years at least. And that
yeah,
does something to us spiritually as a person, not just mentally and physically. So I think that's such a powerful reframing and it's a simple tool, but the work itself isn't simple, but it's
no.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love that, Megan. I call it soul pain because I hit that as well
Yeah.
as I retired. And then I got quiet because I was stuck and I couldn't even think and like my
Yeah.
content I couldn't create. And so it was revealed to me that I had soul pain. So I had to deal with all of the trauma and stuff that I had encountered over the years of striving and trying to prove myself and trying to prove my worth. And then I finally got to the bottom line is look, you are just amazing all by yourself.
That's
You
right.
don't need to prove yourself to anyone except for yourself. And so I began to get in competition with myself to be
Yeah.
better every day that I woke up. And so, yeah, I totally agree with you there, Megan.
Yeah. I hear the message, you are enough. Just those 3
Yes,
words. You are enough.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love that. Well, we know too that work is obviously it's certainly a big part of our lives, but it's not the whole experience, right? And we
Yeah.
all need to be able to experience joy and laughter even outside of work. So where are you going to get laughter in your life right now, Charlene?
Oh my gosh, my family is goofy, like literally
Love
goofy.
that.
My husband's a comedian and my kids too. So I love family. I love going back to reconnect with my real why, which
Yeah.
my family is, because they're going to be the ones that's going to be there for me at the end of
Yeah.
life. And so that's my joy point right there. I love hanging with family.
I love that. That's such a great answer. That's fabulous. Yeah, our kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, the younger they are, I feel like the more authentic they are. And I mean,
Oh,
the belly
yes.
laughs, the
Yes.
best. The best.
Yes,
My gosh.
absolutely.
Well, if our listeners want to connect with you further, Charlene, where can they find you?
Sure. I have a website, coachcharlene.com, but I have a new community that I start building for definitely wellness. And it's a Substack community. And you can see that actually on coachcharlene.com. Or you can email me at momentswcoachcharlene@gmail.com.
Yeah, love that. And we'll have links to all of those sites that she just mentioned, listeners. So, Charlene, you never cease to amaze me. And I feel so blessed and grateful to have crossed paths with you and the light that you bring to our broken healthcare system. So, thank you
Oh,
so very much for taking the time to share these incredible strategies with us today.
you are so welcome. And thank you, Megan, for what you do. I'm still like tasting on the interview you did with me on my show. And so
Oh,
I just appreciate what you're doing as well, because literally at the end of the day, we're trying to make this thing better where it should
absolutely.
be.
And
Yeah.
we need
So
all the help
thanks.
we can get in healthcare, no doubt.
Yes.
Yep. And thank you for tuning in, listeners. So each of Charlene's strategies and tips can be found in the episode show notes, and you can also find links to connect with her directly. Thanks for tuning in, and cheers to each and every one of you Chaos Whispers. Thanks for joining us on the Chaos Whispers of Healthcare. If today's episode resonated with you, please be sure to follow this podcast, rate, and leave a review on your favorite platform. I'm Dr. Megan Carter, and I will be back next week with more real talk, fresh strategies, and guests who are redefining what it means to lead with impact. Want to keep the conversation going? Be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn and download free tools and resources from my website. Both links are in the show notes. Let's heal this broken healthcare system together, one day at a time.